The Irish think they know where they come from. The DNA says they have no idea. Ireland, an island at the edge of Europe, a culture defined by music, language, and fierce identity. Ask most Irish people about their deep ancestry, and they will say Celtic Gaelic, a people rooted in the island since time beyond memory. The national story is simple. The Celts arrived, they stayed, end of story. The Celtic identity runs deep. It shapes how Ireland sees itself, how it markets itself, how it mourns and celebrates. But identity and genetics are different things entirely. And the DNA extracted from ancient Irish bones tells a story that the cultural narrative never imagined and still struggles to accept. But ancient DNA has shattered that narrative completely. Ireland was colonized 3 separate times, 3 completely different and unrelated populations, each one nearly completely erasing the last. And the first Irish looked nothing like the Irish today. 10,000 years ago, the first humans arrived in Ireland. They crossed from Britain when sea levels were low. They were Mesolithic hunter-gatherers. No farming, no pottery, no monuments. They lived by hunting deer, fishing salmon, and gathering hazelnuts. For over 4,000 years, they had Ireland to themselves, scattered across an island of dense forest. Mount Sandal in County Derry is Ireland's oldest known permanent settlement. Radiocarbon dated to roughly 7,900 BCE. The site overlooks the River Bann. Salmon runs made it one of the richest food sources in Mesolithic Ireland. Their diet was remarkably diverse, seasonally varied, and nutritionally rich. Salmon, eels, hazelnuts, wild boar, red deer, seabirds, shellfish. They lived well without any need for farming. Hazelnut shell middens at Mesolithic sites across Ireland reveal the astonishing scale of their intensive seasonal gathering activities. Thousands upon thousands of charred and cracked shells compressed into thick, dark organic deposits at excavated sites like Loughborough in County Offaly and along the Shannon. And when geneticists tested their DNA, the results were a shock. The first Irish had dark skin, not olive, not tanned, dark brown to black skin pigmentation, and blue eyes. The combination sounds impossible to modern sensibilities, but the ancient genetics are absolutely clear. The genes for light skin that modern Europeans carry had not yet been selected for. They would arrive later with the farmers. The Cheddar Man discovery in Britain confirmed the same pattern. Mesolithic people across northwestern Europe had dark skin. Light skin is a recent adaptation in Europe. It spread with farming populations who needed more vitamin D from weaker northern sunlight. The original Europeans were dark. Light skin is the immigrant feature, not the other way around. For over 4,000 unbroken years, these were the only people on the island. Their entire world was about to end. Eni's vertical bar, lower third, vertical bar 3 cis. The oldest Irish people were dark-skinned and blue-eyed, and they were about to be replaced. Around 3,800 BCE, a new population arrived, Neolithic farmers sailing from the Iberian Peninsula and western France. They brought wheat, barley, cattle, sheep, and pottery, technologies the Mesolithic Irish had never seen. They also brought something invisible but transformative: the genes for lighter skin. The Neolithic farmers carried the derived alleles for SLC, Archer C, R, and other pigmentation genes that would eventually dominate all European populations. Within centuries, they transformed the Irish landscape. Forest gave way to farmland. Permanent settlements replaced seasonal camps. Pollen cores extracted from Irish bogs record the ecological transformation with scientific precision. The sharp elm decline visible in the pollen record around 3,800 BCE marks the exact moment when organized farming arrived and systematic deforestation of the ancient Irish wildwood began. The new arrivals immediately began building monuments: court tombs, portal dolmens, passage graves, stone architecture on an enormous scale. The Polnabrone Dolmen in the Burn of County Clare has stood for over 5,000 years. It was built by the Iberian-descended Neolithic farming communities, not by any population that would later call themselves Celtic or Gaelic. The monument predates the Irish language by over 2,000 years. The farming population exploded in size within just a few centuries. Tens of thousands of settled Neolithic farmers, vastly outnumbered the scattered and thinly spread Mesolithic hunting bands, who could not compete for land or resources. And the DNA from this period tells us what happened to the original Irish. In 2015, a team led by Dan Bradley and Laura Cassidy at Trinity College Dublin sequenced the genome of a Neolithic woman from Ballinahety near Belfast. She was not genetically similar to modern Irish people. She was closest to modern Sardinians and Basque, dark hair, brown eyes, distinctly Mediterranean ancestry tracing back to the Atlantic coast of the Iberian Peninsula. She had sailed from the south, and her descendants would build the greatest and most sophisticated stone monuments in all of prehistoric Ireland and Britain. Newgrange, Knowth, Dowth. The greatest monuments of Neolithic Ireland were built by these Iberian-descended farmers. The Cassidy team later found that the man buried in the heart of Newgrange was the product of first-degree incest, a sacred dynasty controlling Ireland's holiest sites. The Mesolithic hunter-gatherers were not completely eliminated by the incoming farmers. Some managed to survive on the margins of the expanding agricultural frontier, retreating to remote coastal areas and offshore islands where farming was impractical. They were gradually absorbed into the farming population over centuries. Their DNA persists as the 15% base. Their genes survive as a buried layer in the DNA of every Irish person alive today, but their entire culture is completely and irrecoverably extinct. No Mesolithic Irish language survives. No Mesolithic art tradition has been identified. No Mesolithic monument exists. No Mesolithic place name has been preserved anywhere on the entire island. The Neolithic farmers replaced the hunter-gatherers. Then they were replaced in turn. Around 2500 BCE, the third wave arrived, the Beaker people, carrying ancestry from the Pontic-Caspian steppe. They brought bronze, metallurgy, horses, new burial customs, and the Indo-European language that would eventually become Irish Gaelic. Metal changed everything. Bronze axes cut timber faster than stone. Bronze swords made warfare deadlier. The technological gap between the established Neolithic population and the incoming Bronze Age steppe people was immense and decisive. The genetic data from 3 Bronze Age men excavated on Rathlin Island, off the coast of Antrim, was decisive. Their DNA was virtually identical to modern Irish people. The steppe migrants are the primary ancestors of today's Irish. The replacement was roughly 75% in Ireland, less complete than the 90% documented in Britain, but still genetically devastating for the established Neolithic farming population that had built Newgrange and the Great Passage tombs. Ireland's island geography may have slowed the replacement compared to mainland Britain. The Irish Sea, though narrow, was a genuine barrier that reduced the continuous flow of incoming migrants. The end result was the same: a new population with new DNA and new technology dominating the island. The people modern Irish descend from arrived less than 5,000 years ago. Everything before that is buried. Modern Irish DNA is layered like geological strata. Roughly 60% Bronze Age steppe ancestry at the top, 25% Neolithic farmer ancestry in the middle, the Iberian connection that built Newgrange, and 15% Mesolithic hunter-gatherer at the base. The dark-skinned, blue-eyed people who arrived 10,000 years ago. Every Irish person alive today carries DNA from all 3 populations. The proportions vary by region. Western Ireland consistently retains more Neolithic farmer ancestry than the East. The Atlantic coast was harder for steppe migrants to reach and dominate. County Clare and Galway sit on landscapes shaped by the Neolithic farmers. Their monuments still dominate the western skyline. A landmark 2017 study from the Royal College of Surgeons in Ireland mapped fine-scale genetic structure across every county. The finding was striking and unprecedented. Western Ireland is measurably and consistently different from Eastern Ireland at the genetic level, with clear county-by-county variation mapping onto ancient population history. The dark hair and brown eyes called Black Irish trace to this Neolithic farmer ancestry. not Spanish sailors. The R1BY chromosome haplogroup, carried on the male line, reaches its highest frequency anywhere in the world in Ireland and the Basque Country. Roughly 85% of men in both populations carry it. But this shared haplogroup comes from the Bronze Age steppe migration, not from any direct ancient Atlantic connection. The Basque and the Irish share paternal ancestry because both received the same wave of steppe migrants spreading westward across Europe. The famous Irish-Basque connection is real, but it is not what people think it is. The Celtic identity that defines modern Ireland and shapes its national mythology is a cultural inheritance, not a genetic one. The Irish language, the traditional music, the mythological traditions, the Brehon legal system, the clan and tooth structure, all of these defining elements of Irish civilization arrived with the Bronze Age steppe migrants roughly 4,500 years ago. Nothing that modern Ireland considers ancient is truly ancient in genetic terms, but the faces in any Irish pub carry features from all three populations blended over 10,000 years. Remarkably, the medieval Irish themselves seem to have sensed this deep pattern. The Leber Gabala Éireann, the Book of Invasions, is a medieval Irish chronicle that describes Ireland being settled by successive waves of mythical peoples, each conquering and displacing the population that came before. The myth was right about the pattern. It just had the details wrong. 3 waves, 3 replacements, 10,000 years of buried history that most Irish people have never heard of. Millions of Irish people have taken DNA tests in the past decade. Most expect Celtic. They see complexity. The labels on commercial DNA tests do not say Mesolithic hunter-gatherer or Neolithic Iberian farmer. They say early European farmer or Western hunter-gatherer. Without the archaeology, these generic labels are almost meaningless. The DNA companies give you percentages. The ancient DNA gives you the story behind them. The Irish are not one people. They are 3 peoples layered on top of each other across 10,000 years. The first layer had dark skin. The second built Newgrange. The third speaks Irish. All 3 are buried in the DNA of every person on the island. More ancient Irish genomes are being sequenced every single year at Trinity College Dublin and other laboratories across Europe. Each new genome fills in another missing piece of the buried genetic history. The teeth are still in the ground. The bogs are still preserving bone that protects DNA for millennia. If you want to know what else ancient DNA has revealed about European origins, subscribe. The sources are in the description. The DNA the Irish carry is not Celtic. It is a 10,000-year conversation between 3 vanished worlds.